Nick Kyrgios said Jannik Sinner should be gone for 2 years. He posted it on the 20th of August 2024, hours after an independent tribunal ruled that Sinner bore no fault or negligence for 2 positive tests for clostebol. Ridiculous. Whether it was accidental or planned, you get tested twice with a banned steroid substance, you should be gone for 2 years. Your performance was enhanced. Massage cream, yeah, nice. 1 day short of 2 years after that post, the International Tennis Integrity Agency announced it had provisionally suspended Kyrgios himself for a sample that came back positive for benzoylecgonine, a metabolite of cocaine. The failed test is the news, it is not the story. The story is that Kyrgios spent 2 years arguing loudly and in public that intent should count for nothing in a doping case, and his own case now turns almost entirely on intent. Whatever sanction he gets will be read against the standard he demanded for everybody else. And of the 3 players he prosecuted hardest, the one who came closest to answering him is the one whose 4-year ban he turned into a punchline. Start with what the ITIA actually said. Kyrgios gave the sample at the ATP 250 event in Mallorca on the 22nd of June, the day he lost 6-3, 6-4 to Adam Walton, a fellow Australian who had come through qualifying. On the 17th of July, a laboratory accredited by the World Anti-Doping Agency confirmed the metabolite. The provisional suspension has been enforced since the 4th of August. The public found out on the 19th. He had been suspended for 15 days before anyone outside the process knew. He did not fight it. I recently failed a drug test in Mallorca after testing positive for cocaine. I made a huge mistake and I take full responsibility for it. He apologized to his family, his sponsors, and specifically to the children who follow him, and said he was stepping away from public life for 28 days. He has not appealed. Now the mechanism, the part that actually decides his case. Cocaine sits on the prohibited list under 2 labels. It is a stimulant and it is what the code calls a substance of abuse. That second label is the whole case. A substance of abuse is banned in competition only. Taken out of competition, the code stops treating it as cheating and starts treating it as a personal problem. The sanction falls to 3 months and to 1 month if the player completes an approved treatment program. Taken in competition, the same molecule can carry up to 4 years. Same drug, same body, same laboratory result. The gap between 1 month and 4 years is not what he took. It is when he took it and why. Accident or choice, that is not a talking point. It is written into the rulebook and the ITIA said so in the announcement itself. It is also the distinction Kyrgios spent 2 years insisting nobody should be allowed to use. In September 2023, Simona Halep was handed a 4-year ban for roxadustat, a blood booster at the 2022 US Open. Kyrgios did not stay quiet. I'd imagine if I was taking similar things to be banned for 4 years, I'd have about 5 slams. That same month, Maria Sakkari called the Whereabouts app that players use to tell testers where they are horrible. Kyrgios replied to her too. Not really LL. I run on bananas and Coca-Cola in 5-set battles, and my record in them speaks for itself. Read that line again with a cocaine metabolite in the file. When Iga Swiatek tested positive for trimetazidine, he moved on to her. The excuse that we can all use is that we didn't know. Simply didn't know. Professionals at the highest level of sport can now just say, we didn't know. 3 players, 3 substances, 1 argument every time. The explanation does not matter, the bottle does. And this is where the archive turns on him. Every one of those cases was decided on exactly the ground he said should not exist. Sinner settled with the World Anti-Doping Agency and served 3 months from February to May of 2025. Swiatek served 1 month after the ITIA accepted that her sample came from contaminated medication. And Halep's 4 years, the number he turned into a joke about 5 slams, did not survive an appeal. In March 2024, the Court of Arbitration for Sport cut it to 9 months, finding she did not bear significant fault. By then, she had been off the tour 18 months. The 4-year ban he mocked was not upheld. It was overturned on a finding that what happened to her looked more like an accident than a choice. There is a fair argument on his side. Cocaine is not clostebol and it is not roxadustat, and nobody hits a bigger serve because of it. He admitted it the day the news broke and went looking for no contaminated supplement. The problem is that this is the same argument in a different coat. Sinner's team made it, Swiatek's team made it, Halep's lawyers made it. This was not an attempt to win a match. Kyrgios had a word for that argument when other people used it. He called it an excuse. Now look at where the 22nd of June sits in his year. 9 days after that sample, Kyrgios walked onto a Wimbledon court believing it was his last. On a doubles wildcard with Alexander Bublik, he lost 3-6, 4-6 to the 6 seeds, Marcelo Arevalo and Mate Pavic in 55 minutes. Towards the end of the match, he was looking around and taking it all in and said afterwards that he was pretty confident it was his last Wimbledon. He did not know the sample was still in a laboratory. The result would not come back for another 16 days. That is a long way from the man posting verdicts on other players. He is 31, ranked 919th, 4 singles matches all season, almost 10 years past his career high of number 13. In his statement, he wrote that injuries had taken a huge toll on him physically and mentally, that at times he had felt helpless and alone, and then that none of it excused what he did. On Sky Sports, Annabelle Croft called him a tormented soul and said the criticism he fired at banned players is now aimed straight back at him. A tribunal still has to rule. Nobody outside the case knows publicly whether the substance entered his system in competition or out of it, and until that is established, every ban length attached to this story is a guess. The honest range runs from 1 month to 4 years. The U.S. Open begins on the 30th of August without him, though he was never going to be in that draw. That is the strange part. A suspension may cost him almost no tennis because he had almost none left to lose. What it costs is the last thing he still had, which was the right to be the loudest voice in the room about everybody else. He asked for a rule with no room for an accident. He is now the man who needs one. And the closest thing to a reply came from the player with the most reason to enjoy this. Simona Halep posted 29 words on Instagram and never typed his name. Never kick someone when they're down. Life has a strange way of changing positions, and an even stranger way of revealing the difference between an accident and a choice. She's not defending him. She's doing something colder. She's handing him the exact distinction he refused to hand her and letting him work out what it is worth now that he is the one who needs it. The difference between an accident and a choice was always the only real question in tennis doping. Kyrgios just never expected to be the one asking it.